Well, the Republicans had their convention last week, and today the Democratic convention starts. And Secretary Clinton has picked her vice presidential running mate, Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia, considered by many a moderate. But I wonder how moderate he is with regard to Israel. We like to take a look at these candidates and what their stand toward Israel really is. This would be helpful in understanding that. Joel Pollack writes for Breitbart. Senator Kaine joined an anti-Israel radicals in Congress in boycotting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech in March 2015. The last plea of a beleaguered nation against an agreement that Iran is already violating with ballistic missile tests. At that time, Senator Kaine dismissed Netanyahu's speech as purely an attempt to influence the upcoming Israeli elections, on which the speech had virtually no effect. And he complained that Republicans were trying to make support for Israel a partisan issue. Bloomberg News at the time predicted that Kaine's decision to boycott the speech, quote, could resonate for years, end of quote, describing it as sop to the party's left-wing base. Notably, Kaine is supported by J Street, who supports the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions, which is basically anti-Semitic. Kaine is supported by J Street, the George Soros-funded radical left-wing organization widely regarded as anti-Israel for its opposition in every attempt by Israel to defend itself against terror. That's our vice presidential candidate, Tim Kaine. But notice this. Listen to this. The Washington Times told us last week the State Department, the Obama State Department, paid $350,000 of taxpayers' grants, in taxpayers' grants to an Israeli group that used the money to build a campaign to oust Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the 2015 elections. This money was sent to One Voice, ostensibly to support the group's efforts to back Israeli-Palestinian peace settlement. But One Voice used the money to build a voter database, train activists, and hire a political consulting firm with ties to President Obama's campaign, all of which set the stage for an anti-Netanyahu campaign. The Obama administration, State Department, financed efforts to oust Prime Minister Netanyahu. That's how much of a friend. Actually, that's how hostile Israel and this administration, Obama and the current administration has been toward Israel. This was exposed by the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. So that's how many in the Obama administration, many of the Democrats, unfortunately, view Israel and Prime Minister Netanyahu. What about those who support Israel? Listen to the Prime Minister himself. Prime Minister Netanyahu said, I don't believe the Jewish state and modern Zionism would ever have been possible without Christian Zionism. I think that many Christian supporters of the rebirth of the Jewish state and the ingathering of Jewish people in the 19th century made possible the rise of Jewish Zionism, modern Jewish Zionism. We always had the deeply ingrained desire to come back to our land and rebuild it. This is a prayer of the millennia of the Jewish people. And the many Christian friends that we had created the practical foundation, the political foundation for the emergence of Zionism. So there you have polar opposites. Those who are hostile toward Israel and those who support Israel. What does God have to say about that? He said it very early on, and he's repeated it time and time again. Genesis chapter 12, verse 3 says, I will bless those who bless you. And those who curse you, I will curse. And that promise still stands.